G'day, wonderful listeners. This is Trev's Talk, episode 35, and I'm your host, Trev. Last week, I mentioned people suffering societal stigma and being pushed out into the margins of life, and how the church, and we the people, should reach out to all marginalized groups and enfold them with our friendship and be inclusive. The church teachings can sometimes be confusing. Recently, I attended a weekend mass church service where the priest gave a homily on a story in the Bible from Luke 14 verses 7 to 11, which gives a lesson by Jesus on humility. Jesus was saying not to seek places of honour at a banquet, but instead to choose the lowest seat so the host might elevate you. When I went to Catholic school, the teachers interpreted this as don't push yourselves forward, be humble, don't try for honours or recognition, don't dominate the conversation, let others speak and generally take a back seat to others. As an impressionable young child, I took instructions like these from teachers as the gospel truth and became somewhat introverted. Then, in my home life, my parents used to say things like, children should be seen, not heard, don't talk at the meal table, be quiet when adults are speaking, and other put-down things which further moulded me as an introvert. My parents also impressed upon me to always listen to the teachers and follow their instructions. I was also told to listen to and give respect to adults. I came to believe that children were somewhat inferior, and adults, especially ones in positions of power like businessmen or police, were far, far above my station in life. This upbringing stunted my growth psychologically and took me many years to overcome. It took decades for me to learn that I was equal to any other person, not better than, but equal to. However, that dysfunctional upbringing, many behaviour missteps, and my amazing experiences with the Holy Spirit at Medjugorje shaped me into the compassionate person I am today. I have had battles with being bullied, battles with mental illness, battles with rejection, and battles with alcohol. Actually, when I think about it, there are many psychologically damaging things I have had battles with, and that is why I have empathy for the downtrodden, the stigmatised, the hopelessly dependent on alcohol. Whatever their struggles, I've most likely had those struggles also. I understand people that are trying to escape from life. They feel that their life is just too hard to face without some propping up from hard drugs or alcohol. I get it, and I empathise with them. I have a special place in my heart for our Aboriginal brothers and sisters. When I came back to Australia after visiting Medjugorje in 1990, I started volunteering straight away with Vinnies and did house calls to many Aboriginal families in need of help with food, overdue bills, and so on. Often, I had to call on the same families over and over again. Sometimes, I would be calling on a family in the mornings, and if I was given entry to their house, I would see a small group sitting around the kitchen table covered with full and empty beer bottles. The group would be drunk and smelling strongly of beer. The curse of alcoholism was obvious. I did that sort of work for Vinnies for 10 years, and the awful, hopeless life of the Aboriginal families was brought face to face with me, and I knew what I was doing was not really helping them. I was helping them to exist, not to improve their lives. So I was aware of my giving a hand out, but not a hand up, like the slogan of Vinnie's proclaimed we should be doing. Vinnie's slogan was to not give a hand out, give a hand up. The exact opposite of what I felt I was actually doing. So in 2010, when I was given several instances of GBs, my word for goosebumps, around the word school or schools, and I discovered the local Aboriginal school tucked away out of public view in my area of charitable enterprise, I could not approach the principal quickly enough to offer any help I could give. The penny had dropped. Education for our Aboriginal brothers and sisters was the way we could give a hand up and not a hand out. I was hooked. I wanted to help. Now maybe you can go back to episode 9, where I spoke a lot on GBs, leading me to volunteering at the Aboriginal school in Middle Swan for 10 years starting at the year 2010. Or maybe you can go on my website and order a copy of my book to learn much more on my amazing life. Made amazing by my visit to Medjugorje in 1990 to be given incredible encounters direct with the Holy Spirit. I will put my website details into next week's episode. I am having a new website put together. Just going back to talking about that school, I have to say that the school I and my 24 volunteer helpers left when COVID locked us down in 2020, left a far superior school to that which I discovered 10 years earlier in 2010. A very large amount of the beneficial work done at the school was done by my many volunteer helpers. My input was more in the coordinating of those volunteers. When we were locked down, we left a school that teachers, parents and kids were highly proud of. And when we left all programs and projects in such a form that the school was able to absorb them and continue them going forward. And here I am again, trying to do things for the Aboriginal kids at that school by introducing a scholarship fund. Or rather, I should say, I am trying to introduce a scholarship fund. I hope to make a start to such a fund by getting a leading Muslim imam interested in founding one and helping me get an intro to a leading rabbi to join in and also be a founder. To get this sequence of events moving, I need help from Medina, the lady I met and had GBs over. Back in episode 25, I spoke about Medina and my plan for a scholarship fund, so I won't go on about it now, but just remember, I've been trying to get a meeting with her for some weeks and now have some news. I got tired of waiting for Medina to contact me and sent her a text last night to remind her I was wanting a chat. I was hoping that my text would not upset her and get her sick of my pushing for a meeting. Well, good news on that. This morning, I got a nice lengthy text back from Medina with her explaining she was just too busy with end of financial year bookwork, as she is treasurer for the mosque and she will keep me posted. I take that to mean she will get back to me when her work allows. So I am back in waiting mode and will relax until I hear from her down the track. Medina is a key piece of my plan. To get the scholarship fund up and running, if I can convince her of my plan mentioned in episode 25, she will help me convince the boss Muslim imam that it would be a really good move for the Muslim community if they were represented as being involved with Jews and Christians in founding a scholarship fund project when that project strongly promotes the education of Aboriginal students. I am thinking that if Medina believes in my plan, the Muslim imam, the Jewish rabbi, and the Christian archbishops will also fall into place and believe in my plan. I feel I am just on the edge of success. My scholarship fund project has great potential. If I can get it up and running in this state, it would show that it could be introduced into other states. For instance, Sydney has a suburb called Redfern, which has a high population of Aboriginals, and I'm sure there would be a school in that suburb which would greatly benefit from a project such as mine. Muslims, Jews and Christians working together on boosting Aboriginal education. Well, wonderful listeners, guess what? We've come to the end of this week's episode. Please subscribe and comment. Join with me to make a better world. This is Trev, tuning out for this week.